Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. My name is Abe Hunter, and I'm the founder of the Lead Society. And today we have, I don't, you're too young to be a grand dame.
Um,
Or,
I will not be giving my age out this evening.
but we have the illustrious Martha Guth with us tonight.
I'm not even sure illustrious matches the.
Oh, come on.
Take it, take it, take it.
Okay.
And studio audience,
Oh, hey. Okay.
we do what they say.
Yeah.
Martha, how are you? And Richard. Oh gosh, I forgot it. Richard's here too. From
I'm
sunny
always
Florida.
here.
Richard.
Well,
from
I'll
sunny
put it this
Florida.
way. I was like, Martha predates me on the round table.
She does. Martha was one of
That's
our
right.
very first guests, and we're coming up on our 1 year anniversary. So it's fitting that we have you back because
Wow.
much has happened in the last year, hasn't it?
Well, yes, it has. Wait, when was that? How long ago? Was it really a year ago?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
I know.
Can't even, yeah. I can't fathom that.
So thank you both for being here, Martha. What has transpired in the last year? What's going on?
Well, not let's see, not a lot of singing, um, but we have, let's see, so a lot of teaching. I've been so grateful to still have my teaching gig at Ithaca College. That's been kind of amazing.
Go Lions.
Go whatever animal is, sports and me are just, I
I was
don't,
gonna say, there's that good school spirit.
yeah, woohoo. Go Ithaca Bassoon University. I'll go for them. But yeah, no. So that, and then Sparks and Wiry Cries has been going gangbusters, which has been really super exciting. And then there's been a lot of. So I'm also on. Let's see. Sort of artistic administrative team at Songfest. So we've been doing a lot of online content, and so that's been taking my time, and that's been really joyful. Yeah, there's been some good work happening. It's all virtual, all
Yeah.
virtual stuff. Yeah.
And despite that, you're still doing it, and your fantastic Song Slam Festival has managed to persevere.
We did, and I think Erica and I were both, I mean, as you are, you're just sort of nervous about like how things would go. Would things come together? Could it translate virtually? We're both, I think, well, I don't know if I can speak for her, but I feel very strongly that, of course, face-to-face live music making, this is never going to replace that. But we were really thrilled with the way that everything turned out there with our commissions, the way that the videography came together and was produced, and then unbelievably blown away by the music making that happened.
I think, Richard, you don't mind if we're just a little unorthodox here and just like jump right into a clip, do you?
I mean, you're the one at the control board.
Well, I mean, really, I could just, do whatever I want here. Martha, would you set up Ramadan 19 Ramadan 20
20.
versus COVID-19?
Yeah, absolutely. So this was a team of performers that didn't initially. I don't think any of the four knew each other going into it, and none of them have met yet, except over Zoom. So the team was Andrew Stanland, who is a phenomenal composer. He's Canadian and teaches at Memorial University in Newfoundland in Canada. And then our poet was Jessica Caremore, who is just an unbelievable poet from Detroit. She's won, I don't know, she has won so many awards, and so we were really lucky to get her. I met her working with Alicia Halmoran in like 4 or 5 years ago, doing this really cool project at National Sawdust. And her poetry is really raw and intense, and deeply felt, and then also has this kind of amazing timeless quality about it. And then the singer was soprano Latoya Lane, who I knew from school. We went to school together. And then Erica played, my other co-director, Erica Switzer. And yeah, what do I say? This is a piece that is about overcoming just all of the crises that we all navigated over the past year. Jessica wrote a poem that speaks really specifically to her faith, but also to some of her friends who were passed away, but then other friends who were pregnant during this year, and for me it was an incredibly moving piece. It was produced by Matthew Principe, who also works at the Metropolitan Opera in the HD department, and has been a longtime supporter and friend to us. And then Neville Braithwaite did the all of the editing and all of that stuff, and we had a fabulous photographer, Brian Day, also from Detroit.
It's brilliant work, and without further ado, let's enjoy it.
The gunshots, the lies, no distance between the fates anymore. Pick a book, any holy book. We all die. Legs spread open, mothers pushing out the next tomorrow. It does not matter how we die, or at what speed, fasting or slowly. On the first day of Ramadan, April 23rd, 2020, there are millions of reasons to fast. Jesus' children, wearing rosaries round their necks, praying death would leave the salt city. News repeats itself there for years. No longer news. No longer news. No longer
Oh, I just want to keep listening. What a voice.
Yeah.
I mean, in the poetry, shoot, like we've talked about this on the show a couple times, that it's like, how do we relate like what we're all experiencing, and especially putting into music? And I mean, this is now. Just think, like, once we get to a point where we're closer to what normal used to be, that like how much of this is going to kind of flood out and be like, how are we going to process all this?
Well, that's right? It's going to take, whenever this ends, it's going to take a year. It's going to take time to really, and I think you're right, the floodgates are going to open they're already opening artistically. I mean, I feel like this was such a tour de force for all four of them in so many ways. The last movement of this, we have this gorgeous audio of Jessica reciting the whole poem, and then LaToya sort of layered underneath, kind of chanting, and that's also, I think, probably one of the strongest parts of the piece. And because what Andrew did for these first three movements is he kind of excerpted lines that he was drawn to, and so sometimes they're not necessarily, they're sort of like, you get this little like a little pastiche somehow of the poem, and then he allowed it to exist as a whole in the last movement, and it's really powerful.
Wow. Now, Martha, something that I've loved, and what you kind of mentioned the last time you were on the show with Karen Slack, shout out, this idea and this venue of Song Slam being not just a presentation of new compositions, but really kind of being this like bastion for that creativity and everything. Like, how do you feel that maybe has translated over this past year? And in a way, like, how did you guys like adjust, or did you have to adjust to anything, to your usual operations?
Well, I mean, we definitely adjusted by taking things online, but what I was really impressed with, I think, continues on from this conversation we were just having in terms of quality. I found that when teams came in, we recorded the Song Slams in November in New York City, at least for the New York version of it, and I could not believe how the level of singing, the level of composition, the level of like just everything. And I feel like if there is a there are many silver linings. One of them, I think, is that we have been able to spend so much time in our craft. And then when it was time to record, people were ready. And I was overwhelmed by how I felt being able to listen. Just like I was like 200 yards away in a different room, but the sound traveled pretty well. So it was overwhelming for me to hear it. But every single team came back and they just said that they were so grateful that they got to record. I mean, we're all doing this, but it's a moving experience when it's been taken from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wonder, anything that you had discovered through this new version of Song Slam this past year. Do you feel like any of that's going to maybe carry over into future iterations?
Absolutely. We're never gonna not do the virtual slam like this. We're
Hmm.
gonna try and do. We're still putting together our budget and next season and all of that stuff. But we are committed to doing it virtually and the main virtually and live, so that sort of leads up to a live event.
Did you just say
likely.
lead?
Thanks, Abe. Oh yeah. Yeah, so it will arrive at an event that is live, where before it was, we're going to have probably the same kind of thing, 10 days, 2 weeks of virtual Song Slam, because for us, we heard those songs 8, 10, 11 times. We knew those songs. And so it was really kind of fun to sort of be able to enter into the composer and the poet's world, essentially, in a way that you actually can't do on one hearing when it's just one night and it's kind of a visceral vote for your favorite. And then if we had to somehow, we don't vote, nobody who works for Sparks would vote, but if we were to somehow try and pick, favorites out of just one hearing, it's tough.
It takes me back to when I was in school and the composition recitals. I had a conductor that I worked with, and he insisted that anytime there was a new composition, he's like, you're going to hear it once, we're going to have a little reflection on it, and then we're going to play it again, because you're right, it's impossible to get a full scope of everything on one listening.
Now, Richard, speaking of playing it again, I'm getting a lot of criticism online here for that tired old joke, as Glenn Dower Jones called it.
It's called consistency and branding. Hey, when everybody orders their T-shirts that have that on there, they're, you know what?
That's right.
But
I'm pretty sure Sparks has claimed "Take Me to Your Leader."
You can have it.
That was a Tyler Duncan joke.
But one thing you bring up with being able to hear things again, but you also, what is amazing is the consistency of production value throughout this. Can you just talk a little bit about how you made that playing field level for folks?
We did think that was really important. We didn't want there to be somebody who wasn't able to record with high level or high quality equipment or something like that. So we found this unicorn of a venue called the Blue Building in New York City, and it was just perfect because it was the kind of space that you would imagine an event like this happening. Kind of casual, raw, sort of, it looks like new music, when you see it. And so we had the wonderful Cynthia Steinman, who recorded all of them over 2 days in November. And she created these beautiful, little vignettes for every single piece. And it really, we were so pleased that it worked out that way. And we want to do it again if we can. We'll definitely do it that way, but we'll hopefully be able to use the same team. We'll see.
Well, and everyone that participated received something priceless for their portfolio. Just fantastic.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of it, I think, for us. We've always recorded them on the night, but it's never been this high quality, and that really is part of it because, look, the prize money and it's done that way on purpose. The prize money is not a huge amount of money. So the idea is more that you get to, certainly if it's a live event, you get to collaborate, you get to meet people, you're sort of interacting in this really beautiful way. But in this way, we wanted to make sure that their $20 registration fee went towards something. So they got, it's theirs to keep and to own and do whatever they wish with. After it's been premiered through us, then it's their property and their intellectual property.
And how wonderful if that becomes a standing cornerstone of these events where you're able to have not just the live experience, like, in the future, that you actually are able to put it on the record, like figuratively and like literally, and actually have something concrete to rely on. So in the event, and here's an idea. If it's already yours, take it. If not, it's totally yours right now. That if you actually can like compile the actual evening, or even just like the like studio recording sounds, like this was 2020, this was 2021, this is that year, like, put it on a playlist, put it on Spotify, so people can actually rely on that virtual digital content and say like, oh, this is what happened, even if I wasn't able to be there in person to see it.
Well, that's just it. That's exactly it. Right now, that content is up on our website, and will remain so. We'll probably archive the page, but it will remain like an article in our magazine section of the website. And that's also it, because we have this kind of wonderful relationship with New Music Shelf, where they published a volume of our songs over the past 3 years, or the first 3 years, I should say.
Which can be purchased from Glendower Jones.
That is true. Or on New Music Shelf. Yeah, I'm ready. But it's the kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. So that the idea is that you are hopefully giving a platform for emerging composers and poets, and allowing this music to be heard and sung multiple times, because that's obviously, I mean, that's the hope, right? Yeah.
And you think about how many times, like, it's funny to think that just even a year or 2 years ago, we would think like, oh, I heard this one song, I don't remember who the composer was, I don't really remember how the tune went, but I remember I liked it, and I don't know how to get a hold of it. And to have something like that involved with like, Song Shelf, and with like like I said, like a playlist, and you can say, oh, it's actually attainable, and therefore with the poets, with the composers, they're actually accessible.
Totally. That's exactly right. Yeah. It's sort of like these new publications that are coming out on art song from places where we haven't traditionally had a lot of research, and well, there's been research, but the access hasn't been there. But like, so in South America or Central America, these songs that are coming out, and then half of the book will be on IPA translation, bios, poetry, like everything, right? So that you can really get a feel for what this music is, because it's been neglected where we are, right? Yeah.
Or like neglected, or even just like pigeonholed, where you only kind of you only like really stay in your own lane. So you're like, well, I know this, so I'm just going to keep doing more of this, as opposed to something I've never heard of or been introduced to. And I've said this on the show before, I'm that person that will gravitate towards something I don't know rather than something I do. So you're speaking my language when it comes to all the new stuff. Like, that's what I would have wanted for myself as a young singer, is like, oh, I like this. I don't know what it is, and I don't know how to do it, and there's no one here to teach me.
Right.
So how do you do it? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, and there are so many, like, I mean, well, of course it's interesting, and of course it's rich and deep and everything, but yeah, that's it. It's having all of this stuff at your fingertips, but it's coming out. I feel like the floodgates have already opened with that stuff, and it's more and more.
Martha, what's it been like to see, since you and Erica started Sparks and Wiry Cries, to see all these other art song organizations come into play, and of course your rich history of advocacy of art song? Isn't it quite incredible to see this renaissance of the art form, and not only as we may think of it, Schubert or whomever, but these other composers and new music?
Yeah, it's a dream. I mean, the whole, we started it. I've never thought, I've always hated this sort of really annoying mantra that keeps coming back and back, like, whatever, chamber music is dead, art song is dead, classical music, blah, blah, blah. And when we started it, what we actually found was that there were populations everywhere that loved this music, and that the online platform for it was actually perfect in terms of being able to bring everybody together. And so that now, when there are all of these proliferating organizations in every city, it just has sort of compounded in this beautiful way. And because the mission has always been to sort of collaborate, I mean, it was built upon this sort of like pianist singer model of that kind of equal collaboration. Because that has been our mission, it's just been really exciting to see everything flourishing. Equal collaboration.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to cut you off there. That was
No, it's all good.
That's how good Art Song is. We have to give our little nods.
Yep. And so,
But I go ahead, A.
oh no, Richard, this is your show. We all know that.
Abe
I mean-
already gets mad at me for talking too much.
Well, I lack the punification of Abe Hunter, but I wonder with, kind of like what Abe was saying, and what we're kind of seeing even during this pandemic, of just like people have been kind of given more time with themselves, so
Yeah.
the creativity is coming out in different ways that maybe we didn't even know we had. And with all of these organizations kind of doing the same thing of new music and new song, and having publications like you just showed, having the resources, do you think that every one of these organizations, maybe even Sparks and Wiry Cries included, that there needs to be kind of like that educational component, like in the future, of saying like, now we have so much archived, we have so much like in our backlog, that it's like we can actually show a very short like chronology of what has just transpired over the past couple of years, just in the world of composition, and with like how much it actually generates. Like, I wonder, like, do you feel like it'll kind of get to that next level of like, oh, now we can actually like teach on this, even just like what's available, let alone like what a deeper meaning would be?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think education is key, right? I mean, that's and I think there are just so many ways that we can bring people into the fold, so to speak. And that's one of the main ones. The others are breaking down barriers in terms of other cultures and ethnicities and all of that, so that this is not a colonialist art form, and try and take down those barriers in that way, but then to make sure that we are educating. Hamp song. Who else? There was, I was listening to another panel discussion with Jake Heggie. Oh, this was for Songfest, but Hamp Song is already sort of doing this a little bit. Jake Heggie was talking about going into classrooms instead of the gymnasium, right? Like anybody who is a singer in a young artist program and has done like the school tours where you go from gym to gym and you get like a group of 500 kids together and they're all happy to see Hansel and Gretel. But then you leave. You do a little question and answer and then you leave. And it's like you're sort of like auditioning your art form for the elementary schools. I feel like and I think that's actually wonderful, right? Like it's fantastic to be doing that stuff. But even better would be to bring lesson plans into social studies, into poetry, English language arts, into Spanish class, into any language that anybody's learning in high school. And then introduce them to this fusion because it's interdisciplinary. Like you can teach politics and any kind of contextual anything through these songs. And so Hamp Song, I know, has lesson plans available for download. But Jake Heggie, I remember, was talking really specifically about doing that, and it got me so excited. Because I think there's a real opportunity there with having this kind of web and network of song organizations.
Well,
And it really brings in... Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say. You mean you can lead a horse to water?
Maybe I should have cut you off. No. No.
You could. You need a button where you can start the theme music and just pull me like
No, but like, and I was gonna say just like, and I feel like what's really special about, like you said, bringing it to the classroom, not to the gymnasium, is that actually brings in that level of intimacy. Because yes, there is a different. Like I've done like those gymnasium tours. Distinctly remember it, and even being 3-4 feet away while in costume, while like parading around and saying, "Hey, this is what opera kind of is like."
Yeah.
What if you actually made it even more intimate and said like, here's some critical thought for you. We're not just giving you a show, but what's your idea? And then go from there. Like, don't let us like steer you, but like, how about you tell us what you want to hear? Because quite honestly, like you said, the poetry and like the new music that is coming out these days is a reflection of where we are. And we're, like you said, we're talking about like breaking down those cultural barriers and actually saying like, I forget who it was. I feel like, you know, our own, like, dear Karen Slack has said it on many times. It's like, you need to tell the stories of where we are today, of everyone.
Yeah.
And what better way than to say, like, hey, this is a contemporary poet. This is a contemporary, like, composer. Here are, like, some people, like, living and breathing right in front of you. It pertains to how we live today. And think of it what you want. Just, like, we just want you to think.
Absolutely. And it does that for every single historical time period. I mean, there is music that can do this, you know, I mean, and it's not, and the other piece of the puzzle that Jake was talking about that was so brilliant, he said, you know, colleges have this unbelievable resource in voice majors. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, bring these teams. He said, you don't have to be 30, 40, 50 years old to be an ambassador for song.
Absolutely. And I don't know. I'm not there yet. I'm not 30 yet, so I don't know.
You'll get there.
Yeah.
You'll get there, Abe.
Yeah.
Our friend Juliana Hall said that her husband's German high school teacher included art songs in his German class, and it really brought so much to the language itself, but also to the understanding of cultural issues around the use of the language. What a brilliant idea!
Oh, totally. I mean, why not use these German composers to talk about the Biedermeier period and like political feeling censored, you know, or like yes, exactly. Or to talk about World War II through the eyes of any of the sort of like French poets and composers. It's so rich.
I mean, I was lucky enough that in high school I forewent my senior English class and actually took a humanitarian class.
Richard.
Hey, you know what?
We can edit that out. Don't worry.
No, I take it on with pride. I still have my humanities book because the teacher was very direct in the sense that she was like, I think it's important to show the comparison of the English language, but like how art reflects culture and society of where it is. So we started out with cave paintings and then we ended the year with Miles Davis. And she's like, We're going to fill in the gaps, but it's how, you know, we talk about it all the time. It's that idiom of art reflects life, reflects art, back and forth. And why not actually do that, you know, at the same time, as opposed to saying like, here is like Puritanism in the early, you know, American like saga, but also here is like the Crucible, like a reflection of it, like back in the day. Here's like, you know, the Scarlet Letter. This is how it like was perceived during that time, not just from a historical point of view where everything's very black and white, but like, let's put a layer of opinion on it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm new at this. I just for a second, our friend Glenn Dower Jones has a wonderful, if you don't know his work, vocal music reprints.
Then shame on you if you don't know him.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
But he has some editions of Sparks and Wiry Cries Song Slam Songbook Volume 1. The Lead Society is going to buy 2 of those and send them to whoever they want. So if you're listening or watching, comment in the you first two people, I'll mail them. I'll have Glenn Dower send them to you tomorrow, and Glenn Dower send me the bill.
Amazing.
Well, that's a deal you can't find anywhere else. So you heard it here, folks.
That's the Lead Society difference, folks.
There's the slogan right there.
Yeah.
So Martha, what does the future look like? Like, what does like for you, not just for Sparks and Wiry Cries, not just for Song Slams, but like what does the future look like? What do you want for like what's coming up?
I want there to just be more connection making. To be more connection making. I don't think that we need to turn our genre on its head. I think that it's incredible as it is. I love that there is all of this innovation. We are all innovating when it comes to sort of, again, like this sort of interdisciplinary aspect to things. And I think it's been important, and it will continue to be very important because it will draw new audiences in. And but I still am moved by a singer and a pianist in a room. And any way that we can allow that to happen and allow more audiences to enjoy that and to sort of like kind of peek into that world, that's what I'm here for. You know, we want to kind of preserve this sort of beautiful history of the poetry and of the composers, and then just keep expanding.
Well, and how helpful that it is that, like you said at the top of the show, you have a lot of associations, and you're not only contributing, but like, you know a lot of people who are doing the exact same thing. And I mean, how amazing is that you actually get to see it from different angles.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to push the envelope a little here. We all have a common friend that we're all trying to help out. And that's our dear friend, Dr. Amy Petrongelli. And she's the head for the collaborative pianist.
She's the head of the Vocal Academy at the Collaborative Piano Institute. Yeah.
That's run by Anna Maria and Elena, our friends. And they're seeking participants for their Collaborative Piano Institute, which sounds amazing. And this lineup, no less than pianist, the one and only Warren Jones, who's a friend of the show. Martin Katz, I hope he's a friend of the show.
I'm sure he is.
And also on the vocal side of it, Jamie Barton and Paul Groves. I mean, it's an all-star cast.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to sign up?
So this is happening at Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge, which I've been to the campus. It's beautiful. They have the trees with the moss that you're not supposed to drape yourself in.
I'm so excited to see it.
It's really fabulous.
Yeah.
But they're planning for an in-person festival, but also potentially with to be able to audit or attend remotely. But their deadline is coming up. And March 15th, as a matter of fact, which is just a few days away. So please, please, please go to the Collaborative Piano Institute. We'll put it in the comments here so people can see. And attend this wonderful conference.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be on the faculty there this year. It's quite an honor to be amongst all of those luminaries, these people that you've looked up to your whole life.
Well, and if you have any doubt as to whether you'd like to go, I will be auditing it. So it's a chance. I'll hold daily meet and greets. If you needed something to put you over the edge, there you go.
There you go. That's the final decision. Yeah. So, but like Martha, with places like the Collaborative Arts, the Collaborative Pianist Institute, like what is the aim? Like, I mean, we all want to go for like, not just for the reasons of being around these people who, for a better way of saying they know where the bodies are buried. They know how to do these things. Yeah. But like, what is like the aim for a incoming generation that is actually looking to develop this craft?
It's to find your people. I mean, I think that it can't really be described any better than that. I think it's just you when you know you are amongst the people who think the same way, who love something just as deeply as you love it, who like there is an energy and a sort of a drive that can't be matched. You know, when you are with your people, and it's not just the sort of as the student body, but then to be led by somebody like Warren Jones, to be led, to be able to learn from Jamie Barton, who has been doing these incredible recitals with Kathleen Kelly all around the country. I saw their recital at Carnegie Hall, and it was, oh boy, maybe that was the one they did 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and it was so stunning. And so to be able to learn from people like that, I think there is no greater I think it's going to be amazing.
It's like our own little version of the, like, the spoken traditions, like handed down, just like this is the best way of like the mentorship. It's saying we were doing it at our own time, now it's your turn.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
And what a wonderful sort of, I mean, it's so much fun. I've participated in intensive festivals in Italy and Austria or wherever they may be, and you're in it, you're immersed in it, and that's all you do from morning till night. And this one is from June 6th to the 26th.
Wow.
A great amount of time to really dig in with some of the great masters of the craft.
Yeah. We had our outgoing dean at Ithaca College, where I teach, was Carl Polnack, who's kind of a wonderful pianist. But one of the things he would always say to the incoming class is that we wait for you. Like educators, coaches, we are waiting for you. We are looking for you in that sense, because we want to pass the baton. And so we are more nervous than you are in auditions. We are more excited, likely, because we can't wait to sort of, because without you, there isn't anything. It dies with us, like there's no, and so you must pass it on. And every time, I think I heard that's because he would give it every time there was an audition day. I think I've heard that speech something like 12 times. But it was still really great because he's a phenomenal speaker. So it just a beautiful thinker, and so that
Wow.
Can we listen to the other commission from Song Slam?
Yes.
By Reynaldo Moya.
That's right. Yeah, who is in your city?
Yes, and I'm a huge fan of, and is having a fantastic career.
Yeah, he sure is. He sure is. All of these commissions, we actually started these teams sort of 2 years ago, and then it just, everything got pushed back. But so Reynaldo originally from Caracas, and then I met, when I was faculty at Songfest in 2019, I met Maria Brea, who also is from Venezuela, and so but lives in New York, and a soulful singer. I mean, just a beautiful heart on the stage, and so we thought that would be a beautiful pairing. And then we asked Howard Watkins to play, and then Reynaldo found and he said he loves the story because he says he Twitter stalked him until he said yes, the poet, who is Adalbert Salas Hernandez, also from Venezuela, but who lives in New York, and I believe he's doing his doctorate at NYU right now. So that's the team. This is a song cycle. It was long. We had asked for sort of like 12 to 15 minutes. He gave us 27 minutes of glorious, amazing music. We were so blessed by that. And this piece is about Caracas and what's going on there, but then also immigration. And so the last movement He describes it as a banal sort of waiting, like music that you would listen to if you were on a phone, or if you were waiting in line at some government building or whatever to get, to pass through customs. I don't find it banal at all. I find it completely stunning. But that movement in particular, I find to be totally gorgeous. I don't know what I imagine you'll start right at the beginning, which is also equally luscious. It has more sort of complicated dance rhythms and interesting, so many interesting colors. His music has been a revelation for me.
And we have performing the one and only Howard Watkins.
Yeah.
And Maria Brea. And shall we enjoy?
Yeah.
Okay. Ah,
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
It really is.
even
In
the
the last,
great American composer Kurt Erickson said this is really beautiful.
Come on, Ethan. Kurt's
I
got
love
to
you,
be one of
Kurt.
the kindest, nicest.
He's the sweetest.
Yeah.
Well, greatness recognizes greatness.
There you go.
Yes,
Yeah.
Kurt's a brilliant composer.
Yeah. Yeah. We were also really lucky at we got 6 stills, I think, from Maria's sister, who is a photographer and from Caracas. So they were put into the very final movement about halfway through, and it really, again, there's something about this photography, this use of photography and this medium using song virtually that actually is it heightens it in such a gorgeous way. And so that, if people if they go back and listen to the whole thing, that's something to look forward to as well.
And please do, and go to the website, and they're just so beautifully produced that you can't help but just enjoy it, and that makes such a huge difference production quality.
Well, that's Matthew and Neville. We had an amazing team. Yeah.
And I wonder if that might be one of the big things that we take away from this time is, because we've had the talks of like the traditional style recital, how to traditionally just like the stand and sing, which is always good. It will always have its place, but maybe grooming a different kind of audience that is engaged in multi-sensory kind of ways. It's not just let me listen or let me read. It's like, let's make it you don't have to make it an experience, but like bring another layer into it.
Well, why not? I mean, it certainly works right now, and we're not going to stop doing it. There's no way. I mean, it worked so well. Yeah, I think there's room for all of it. And you know, it's a statement in and of itself. And I think that that's something that we've certainly learned. Yeah.
Awesome.
Martha, you've been, you know, a friend and advocate of art song over the last 20 some years. Where do you see it going from here after this? Are we in a stronger, better place after what we've gone through?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I think we have, and we have these kinds of things to prove it. And the fact that, so, you know, as smaller art song organizations, it's hard to get people in to your audience to get like full houses. Like, you know, that's one of the things we all grapple with as young sort of, you know, feisty organizations. We had 5,000 people come and watch the Song Slam.
Wow.
I don't know. I mean, we don't think that they all watched they didn't all watch every video. That's for sure. That didn't happen. But 5,000 hit like that. Those kind of numbers for art song, like they're huge.
The only time time I ever reached that was with the Triumvirate episode with Martin Katz and Warren Jones and
come on,
and Margot
yeah,
Garrett.
exactly.
But I mean, you think about that, like even when you have such a vast offering, I mean, like that's always our goal as like performers, as artists. It's saying if I can touch one person, and even if like as an audience member, if you can say like I like that one thing, even if I didn't hear the entire evening or what was there to offer, like you're still getting people to participate, and
exactly,
isn't that what we want?
That is what we want. I am 100% fine with this art form remaining intimate. That's what it was. That's what it was designed to do. But this is a different kind of intimacy, and it works. And I think we've all learned that. Except that, you know, it does take these extra levels of commitment and support and funding. Let's not, you know, beat around the bush with that. It takes money. But there are also ways in which the virtual platform does draw that kind of support in as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You are an inspiration, and I'm so pleased to know you and to have you be an advisor for us and our work, and I love that we can support each other among all these art song organizations. I feel like there's so much goodwill.
Yes.
And I think it just goes with the art form.
It does. I think that may actually be, you were asking about like what's next and what comes out of it, and what about seeing all of these organizations proliferating. That's what it is. It's this sort of really, it's that going back to the Collaborative Piano Institute. We have found our people.
Yes.
Like, you know.
And like, and how good it is. Like the network is, the ties are even stronger now. Like you kind of are aware of where everyone is now, and it's not so hard to kind of like get to one point or the other. We can just, turn this on.
Totally. And it's also really dumb to be competitive in an in a genre that is so that is so intimate and about unity anyways.
Absolutely.
It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. There is no such thing in this. There just isn't. And so that's what I've always been grateful for in this.
Well, we're grateful for you, and this is the time of our show where we can give shout outs to whom people we are grateful. So I'm going to play our theme music, and Martha, take it away.
All the people I'm grateful for?
Mm-hmm.
We have all night.
Erica Switzer, my co-director, because she's one of my very best friends and my partner in crime. There are just too many. Like literally every single voice faculty member at Ithaca College who I love and adore because we have created something really special. Amy Petrangelli.
Yes.
Yeah. You too, Sam Martin.
Sam, fabulous.
Yeah,
We love Sam.
who's so wonderful. And Lucy Fitzgibbon.
Oh, of course.
Mm-hmm. Brian McCullough, you guys too.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
Totally.
thank you and good night, everyone. And we will get those books out to those who everyone wanted one. We actually upped it up to 3. So we'll be
You're welcome, Glendower.
Well, yeah.
Amazing.
Good night, everyone.
Oh, good night.